Hey, you got Big Rich Brock coming to you from Hammerhead Creations in downtown Cartersville, Georgia, baby. Big Rich and Friends comedy right here with our weekly podcast. Come on, somebody. So glad you're here. Thanks for tuning in. Remember to give us a follow on my social media. Keep up with the comedy shows. I do over 100 shows a year, and I'd love to see you at one or your area. I get people that reach out, hey, are you ever at this certain spot or here or there? Let me know where you're at. Hey, give me some ideas of good venues. And man, I do everything from churches, bars, theaters, wineries, private corporate events. Man, you name it, we've done it. Man, I do 55 and over, like residential communities. And my friends are like, hey, you meet a lot of women out on your shows or out on the road like that? Man, at my shows, there ain't many cougars, friend. A lot of saber-toothed tigers, boy, near extinction. That's all I got to say. When you hit, because these 55 and over places, I'm the only one close to 55. Come on, somebody. Everybody else is way over. I mean, way over. But we have fun. We have a good time. We talk about growing up in the 1900s. We talk about life, and man, we have a blast. So if you're the event coordinator at a residential, facility or a senior center or a HOA, man, I'm your man. I'll come in, we'll have a night to remember. Great comedy, good times, a lot of fun. So bigrichbrock.com, get all the information to me that you need, and we'll rock on. So great to see you guys again. Thanks for tuning in. Last week, we were talking about comedy and promoting shows, performing shows, and I want to kind of continue in that vein for a little bit today. And some of the questions I get asked. One of the questions I get a lot, and my background on this is I'm a former pastor. I preached 28 years, 4,000 plus sermons, did TV preaching for probably 5 years. Pulpit ministry for 20 plus, was a youth pastor, was a pastoral care minister, associate pastor, and senior pastor, from churches as big as or as small as 50 people up to 3,000 people and everywhere in between. Loved what I did, loved bringing hope to people and preaching God's word. But I truly found my calling when I stepped into full-time comedy just a couple years ago. Love what I do, bringing hope one laugh at a time and having a lot of fun along the way. I do clean comedy. I'm funny. We have a good time. Now, somebody might say, are you sure that's clean? Hey, what I say is clean. Now, what you think, that's between you and God, man. No, I'm teasing. We have a lot of fun and things go, it's just a good time. So come out and be a part of it. But I get asked, how was your show? I get asked, do you have a favorite show? I guess my favorite show has nothing to do with the comedy part. I have 3 sons. They live all in the state of Georgia, but from one end to the other. So getting all 3 of them in a show at the same time is rare. It's kind of like getting the president and the vice president in the same place, And I did a show in my hometown of Chickamauga, Georgia, about 2.5 years ago, and all 3 of my sons. Now, my daughter-in-law didn't get to come, so that's done. But all 3 of my sons, childhood friends, people, my family, people I knew all my life, were a part of that venue, and it was a blast. So that's probably one of my favorite shows that I've done. I did a show in Ringgold, Georgia, which I'm in Ringgold at Caffeine Addicts Coffee every month, 10 times a year, maybe 11. You can catch me. I do new material. I bring in great comics from the Southeast, and we have a Big Rich and Friends comedy show, Caffeine Addicts. But I did a show at the Ringgold Depot, and that's a bigger facility, holds 200 people. I did a live taping there. Ended up had 187 people come out to that show years ago. Most of the stuff you see on my YouTube was taken from those two shows. I did another one a year later, filmed both of them. Those are great memories because we filmed. They were live film shows, good crowds, a lot of fun. Doing Dry Bar, for you folks that aren't familiar, Dry Bar is the largest clean comedy network in the world. I mean, Nateland's fastly approaching, and Nateland's its own beast that I love greatly. But Dry Bar is in Provo, Utah. Yes, Provo, Utah. It's out there. It's funny. I wrote a joke that morning at the breakfast place at the hotel that I used in my tape set because what Dry Bar does, and a lot of people that are in comedy were like, boy, I'd like to do Dry Bar. Well, I emailed them. I sent them a tape. Speaking of, when you're producing shows and somebody asks you for a tape and you're wanting to do a headline 40-minute spot and you send me a 5-minute tape, it ain't going to happen. You know, you see, doesn't mean I'm going to watch all 45 minutes, but I got to know that you're able to handle that amount of time. Be honest in how much time you can do. So I sent them a tape and it was an hour and they just needed 30 minutes, but I sent them an hour tape. They called me back or emailed me. We worked out an arrangement, signed a contract. I was on season 12, Dry Bar Comedy. Between me and you and now everybody, I'd only been doing comedy for 9 months when I signed that gig. That doesn't happen very often, friends. I was very fortunate. Big Rich, how'd you pull that off? Favor, just right place, right time. I can't explain it. Just, grace of God. And, loving what I do. Now, that show was a blast. I had a great time. Lot of pressure. Now it wouldn't bother me as much, but I didn't know what that was going to be. I just knew that they were filming and I had the potential to change my life. It hadn't changed my life yet, but it has opened up some doors for me to do comedy in new places. Another one that I enjoyed greatly was I got to open for Dusty Slay at his show at Zany's in Nashville, Tennessee. Wasn't a long set, but it was a fact that I got to do my comedy in front of someone that I admire and I respect as a comedian and that I've gleaned from and learned from in my process. So that's another one. But the shows I love, man, if we have a good show, good crowd, hot show, as we say, when I'm done, it reminds me a lot of when I was a pastor. When the service was rocking, man, afterwards, I just sit back and think about how good it was. Can't sleep. I use the term wired and tired. Man, my mind is all over the place and my body's just like, man, you need to get some sleep. But I can't. I'm wired, man, from the show and had a great time. And we had one recently in Cartersville. Wasn't the biggest crowd, wasn't the biggest moneymaker, but as far as show content, man, it was on point. Jason Hedden from Panama City Comedy, me in the house, the two of us working together, gave a night to remember for so many people. A lot of laughs, a lot of fun, and that's what you want. The other things will follow. So those have been some of my best. What have your worst shows been? I get that asked. What's one that's just been awful? Or you bombed? Where did you bomb? Well, I bombed a lot as a pastor. Come on, somebody. See, I preached 4,000 sermons. They're not all home runs. They're not all sacrifice flies. Sometimes it's some were great, some were not. Some didn't connect. And I worked through a lot of that. See, I've spoke for a living since I was 21 years old, 22. So that part of comedy, I already had a huge advantage. And that's how I've been able to do what I've been able to do so quick. And people don't understand it unless you've been in that life, that you speak 3-4 hours a week in front of people when you're a senior pastor. And that's what I did. And that's where I learned. So I knock on wood, bombing in a show. I don't know if I necessarily bomb. Some are harder than others, but I did a lot of bombing as a preacher, Pastor Brock, that got me ready for what I do now. But some of the most, I won't call them bad shows. I'll just call them memorable shows. I did one where I don't feature for a lot of people anymore. I'm happy to do it. I just don't get asked much, and I'm working already. But I went and featured for this fella, and we went and did a show. It was near Cullman, Alabama. The good people of Cullman. This was near Cullman, and I didn't know where it was. The guy just told me, "Hey, it's 2 hours from your house, hour and a half. And if you'll drive, I'll pay for gas if you'll drive." Sure. He shows up at my house. I put in the address. It's 3 hours and 30 minutes from the house, not an hour and a half. So I'm in a bad mood already, thinking, geez, and it's on Good Saturday. That means the day before Easter and the day after Good Friday. And I'm like, man, who's going to be at this show? How many tickets we sold? Oh, I don't know. We'll find out when we get there. How many people's it hold? 500. 500. Geez, it's going to be crazy. Well, we get there and we can't find it. GPS led us to a place in the middle of a highway. We're looking around. There ain't nothing. There's a gravel road. Said, why not? Let's try it. We drove down this gravel road. We came into I called it a meth lab, but it's like 6 single wides. And this gal came out of one of them, and she had like 2 teeth, one up top, one on the bottom. And she's like cussing me up and down. I get out of the car, and she's just cussing. And I said, do you know where such and such is? She's still cussing. And then over to the left is a metal fabricated building. And it had a sign on it that said wrestling, weddings, and other venue. First of all, I thought wrestling and weddings. My God, I ain't doing either one of them. I'd rather, is this it? And somebody came out and said, you're at the right place. So we unload, get set up. Our comedy shows in a wrestling ring. They took the ropes down, so that was nice of them. But they said, you'll perform here. How many tickets you sold? Well, we're a cash-only business. Cash only? Yeah, people just show. I've been promoting it all over town. Okay. Showtime. Guess how many people were there? 0. 15 minutes later, 0. 15 minutes later, the guy with me's like, I'm going to go get our money and you be ready to leave. And I'm like, you think we're going to get paid? He goes, yeah, we're going to get paid. He got our money. He gave me my portion because he says if somebody hits us over the head, at least one of us has got a chance to get away. I thought, I ain't got to run fast. I just got to outrun him, was my thought. I said, we're going to make it. Well, they paid us, and we chatted another minute. And then the lady, there was 5 people there. The owner, his mama, his sister and brother-in-law, and then some dude that was running security. And they said, I guess y'all ready to start? And my buddy that hired me just looked at me, and I said, sure. And we did a show. He goes, I ain't doing this show for I'll do 10 minutes. I said, nah, dude, we give them everything we got. I gave them I had the feature spot. I did 25 minutes. I gave them everything I had. Man, I worked it like there were 500 people in there. I said, where do y'all want me? She goes, go up in the ring like it's supposed to be. They gave me walkout music, and they had ice smoke coming up out of the ring. And I come out to, I think it was Guns N' Roses, Paradise City. And I'm coming out and I do my set. And then my buddy comes up and he does his set. And I end up, the guy told me, he's like, hey, Big Rich, you used to be a preacher, right? I said, yeah. He goes, well, since tomorrow's Easter, if you want to say something, go ahead. He goes, we're believers here. And I didn't really want to, but he kind of was like, go ahead. I said, sure. So I told my story. And I gave my story, or you'd call it a testimony, and how I went from being a pastor to being a comedian, and how God walked me through some things. I got on the other side of it. And then I look out there at those 5 people, 3 of them are on their knees worshiping and praying. And I'm like, man, this ain't what what is this? So it started off going to be a terrible night, nobody there. It ended up being a worship experience. And these people they got their hearts touched. They got encouraged. They got uplifted, I guess. And the dude with me had no idea what was going on. He's like, what all was that? I said, welcome to my world. I said, you never know what's going to happen at a Big Rich show. And do I go into shows and preach? No, but I have before. I've been in places and I don't plan it. I had another one that you would think's a bad show, but ended up memorable. I'm at a bar show, and I headlined this for a couple gals that put it together. And at the start of the show, and anytime a show's free, well, not anytime, but most of the time you get what you pay for. Or if it's $5, save you $5. Save it, get 20, come to Big Rich and Friends, or come see somebody else. Go to Zany's, do something. This show was a free show. Started off, there were about 80 people there. First comic went up, 30 people left. It just wasn't funny. Next comic, 10 more people left. Next comic did pretty well. Next comic, another few people left. Next comic had 7 comics on the card. Way too many for my book, plus way too much time. They went an hour and a half before I went up. When I went up as a headliner, there were 17 people left in the bar. And I gave them the best show. The guy that owned it said, man, you'd have thought there's 1,700 in here. He goes, and all 17 of those people have stayed and bought drinks, and they bought you a drink. They did this, they did that. He goes, thank you for making lemonade out of that lemon you got dealt. And that's my encouragement to you, whether it's comedy, you're a musician, you own your own business. Sometimes in life, you're handed something, or it comes your time to shine. You've got to step up, man. You got to treat it like it's the biggest show you've ever done before. You got to bring the energy. You got to bring the passion. Because if it's a hobby, that's one thing. But if you're called to do it and you want to do it well, you got to step up when everybody else would just say, forget it. I ain't doing this. I can go to the house. I can go do something else. I remember those kind of shows. Another one that I did, I went into it, and it was out of state in Florida. I got hired by a company to come out and do a HOA 55 and over community. I drove 8 hours. I got there. I walk in. The lady running the event says, hey, I'm so sorry. We've had a bunch of people sick. We've had this going on. We don't have that many people. I look out there, there's 9 people. 9. I drove 8 hours each way. And I thought, okay, just give me 10 minutes. I went out to the car. I drank my, it ain't a great drink to drink before a show at 9 o'clock or 8. Cold brew, venti, Trenta, biggest one they got, get my coffee in me, wash my face off, and said, okay, let's do it. Went in there, gave those 9 people everything I had. When I finished, here were the 3 statements I heard. Number 1, I wish more people would have been here. Number 2, I had so much fun. And then the last statement I heard, hey, would you come back and do another one when we can get everybody here? They booked me, signed the contract. I'm headed back there in a month. That's been a year ago. And she goes, oh, there's going to be plenty of people at this one. And see, if I'd have went in there and said, well, heck with this, it's only 9 people, I'm going to phone it in, I wouldn't be going back and making more money. And she referred me to 3 other places. So I've got 2 of them booked already, trying to book the other 2, and I can go down there and make a living in Florida for a week or maybe a week and a half. So opportunity comes to you. One of the best shows I've ever done, I got it because I went to the Rotary Club in Cartersville, Georgia. They asked me to come do a freebie, and I went and spoke at a luncheon, and I did it, and it went well, and somebody hired me on the spot to go do a statewide convention at Sea Island, Georgia. And they paid me more than I'd ever been paid before to do comedy at that time. And I'm like, all because I went to the Rotary and I delivered. So whether it's business, entertainment, whatever it is, ministry, whatever it is you're into, if you're looking at an opportunity, think it through. It could be the one that opens up the door to what you're looking for. In comedy, be original, be you. Business, same way, man. Be real. You don't have to be a character. Be you. You're the only you out there, man. I don't need you to be like another comic. I mean, yeah, I'm very honored. The compliments I get, you're a lot like Jerry Clowers or James Gregory, 2 of my heroes. First comedian I ever heard in my life, Jerry Clowers. I was 5 years old. If you're way too young for Jerry Clowers, Law, knock 'em out, John. All his storytelling growing up in Yazoo City, Mississippi. Played football at Mississippi State. I know them all because me and my dad listened to those 8 tracks every day, coming and going from Chickamauga to the house after school. Love Jerry Clower. But I'm me. Yeah, I'm a storyteller. I'm a little bit like that, but that's what we call in comedy world parallel thought. I remember as a teenager, I'd walk around my neighborhood with my buddy Sean Whitfield. Shout out to Whitfield Media in Chattanooga, Tennessee. And now our mamas don't know this, so don't tell her. We'd walk around with our jam box. Come on, somebody, with Eddie Murphy playing. And I could quote Eddie Murphy like the New Testament, brother. I mean, I knew that Eddie Murphy backwards and forwards. And if we were told to turn it down, then I would just tell him, Eddie Murphy's Delirious. I knew it. One of my favorites. I knew all that stuff. So I say that because parallel thoughts, parallel development's going to happen, but be you. And listen, don't steal somebody else's material, just like you don't need to steal somebody else's wife or job. There's heartache that comes with it. I get tickled. There's people I've hired. I don't think they intentionally meant to, but they heard me so much, they started using my material in their sets. And did you call them out? No, here's the way I've learned about things. As a Christian, I believe the Holy Spirit will speak to somebody. And if you're not going to listen to the Holy Spirit, you sure as heck ain't going to listen to me. So sometimes I'll speak up, but most of the time I just let you and God figure it out, or maybe you don't. But I got tickled. I saw a clip the other day of somebody and that I used to hire, and they were doing a bit real similar to what I do. And I do it a whole lot better. Come on, somebody. And it's funnier. But I just made a mental note. Okay, don't hire this person. Why am I going to give this person opportunity when there's somebody else over here hungry, funny, doing it right? I said last week, and I'll say it again today, you want to get work in comedy, you got to be funny. But if you're on time, and you stick to the time that you've been given, and you stick to the brand of the show, whether it's clean or blue or R or whatever, and you're nice to people, you're going to find work. Man, people will hire you if you do just those things. And being funny ain't even the most important one most of the time, but it is important. And to work the material, spend time learning it, producing shows is a lot of work, but it, it, it gives opportunity, not just to me, but to other people too. But back to the parallel thoughts thing for a minute. And one of my favorite parts of comedy for you comedy fans is the callbacks. When you tell a joke and then you refer back to it later. I've got a few that I'll call back 5, 6, 7 times during the night, and it just builds momentum like a freight train. I love doing this too, and I think when I have a feature and they do, and this happens, I'll be out of town. I'll be working for Panama City Comedy, and we'll have a host who's funny. It happened, my buddy Ethan Deo. Ethan's a young comic, great guy, funny. He hosted a show we did, and he did a bit that I do. We both do the same bit, parallel thought, but he's doing it from the mindset of a 20-something-year-old. I'm bringing it as a 58-year-old. So I can, it's easy to do. People aren't sitting there thinking, who took that from who? Other times, somebody will do a joke that's parallel to my thoughts or to my set. I'll change it. I won't do that particular one that night. That's my choice. I can feel it out as I go. But be original. One of the things that's fun and is a feature comic, and a good feature loves when a headliner does a callback on their joke. I love doing that. I was able to do that several times with Jason Head in Panama City Comedy the other month. And he said, man, it just cracked me up when you're doing callbacks on my jokes. And it's fun for the crowd, because when people are in tune, because another thing you're going to see, and if you're starting out in comedy, you're going to do open mics with other people that want to do comedy and about 2, 3 people that are there to hear comedy. Most people are there to perform, so they don't care. They don't listen, or they laugh at anything you say because they're hoping you'll laugh at what they do. You can't judge your set by open mic. Open mic is to work timing, it's to work out the stage fright, it's to work out the jitters. I did 4 open mics. I've done 5 in my life. 5. Only reason I say that is not to brag, but it's because I preached 4,000 sermons. So I've been in front of people a long time. I got the street creds in the pulpit to be able to bring it into the comedy front and to be confident, because you got to be confident. Most of the time, be confident in what you do. Be you. You can be confident when you're being original, when you're being you, when you're telling things and bringing out things it's believable. And another fun thing it shows is when people come up to me and they say, was that really true? And I always say this. I said, the only people that know that are my kids and the women I sleep with. And it always gets a good laugh or a chuckle. I said, yeah, it's all true. It's all true. Now, is it all true? No. But there's enough truth in it. That's what makes it good comedy. Another thought real quick as we wrap up today. When you're looking at doing comedy, and everybody's got different interests, that's true. Here's one you're not going to catch me at. I'm not going to be doing the show where it's the hot sauce show or something. I'm thinking, man, are y'all that struggling to sell a ticket that you're going to take a shot of hot sauce and then tell your comedy? But they happen, and they're different. People say, we're doing this kind of show. We're doing this kind. Some of those are fun. And if you like them, then they're great. But I know my audience, and I'm trying to find my audience. 25% of our country is rural people. That's 70 million plus people. And all I need is gets a small, minute fraction of those folks, and I can do what I do. Man, I appreciate you guys. I wish you the best. I encourage you today. If you haven't been out to a show, check my website, find a show near you. I'll be in North Carolina. I'll be in Florida. I'll be in Tennessee and Georgia and Alabama. all in the next several weeks. Love to see you. If you want to get me out to your area, if you've got a venue or you got somewhere in mind, shout out to me. Let me know. I hope you have a great day. Stay cool, and I'll see you next time. Come on, somebody.